Hey, before we dive into today's episode, if you have enjoyed the last 3 episodes where we shared those incredible success stories that happened from my recent HR Star clients, then this is your chance to join HR Star before doors close Monday, April 27th at midnight to bonus enrollment. During bonus enrollment, you get a ton of one-to-one bonuses that are typically not included to get your results to go even faster. And those bonuses are worth over $3,500. So if this sounds like the right next step for you, I cannot wait to support you. The link is in the show notes, and you can always DM me if you have any final questions before doors close. Hello, and welcome back to the Career Cravings podcast. It is I, Irina Pozan, and today I wanted to come in for a solo episode and share the 7 lessons that I've had from a huge year of change. I recently turned 38, so I have had 37 full years around the sun, and I was reflecting on this huge year that has happened and thinking about the 7 biggest lessons that I have taken away from it. And today I will be sharing them with you. And I want you to picture us sitting across from each other. And if we were sitting together one-to-one, these would be like the 7 things that I would share with my younger self, with you, that would not only help your career, but also we're talking about things like health and ambition and family and really looking at your life in general. Because when we think about why we are looking to progress in our careers, I know there are so many ambitious people listening to this podcast. It is always for the greater vision of living a better life than we lived the year before. So this is 75 episodes today. So I thought I'll share 7 lessons. Like, how fun is that? I also have a lot of fun guests coming up on the podcast. I've recently had some incredible career coaches. I have guests coming up that share incredible insights in their arenas as well. But I thought a solo episode dropping in for this purpose is required. So let's dive in. Hey, it's Irina Pozan, and welcome back to the Career Cravings podcast. This podcast has a simple mission. It's to help ambitious professionals like you build the career and life that you've been craving. Over the past 15 years, I've worked as an HR leader, designed hiring systems, led recruitment teams, and I've sat on the other side of the hiring table. I've seen what works in today's job market, what doesn't, and what separates those good candidates from the ones that actually land their dream roles. Now I'm bringing everything I've learned straight to you. Each episode is packed with actionable insights and tools to help you land your dream role sooner. Now let's dive in. Okay, so lesson number 1 is one that I feel like I will continue to be taught until it is no longer required, but I feel like it is one of those things that is one of the biggest lessons. And each time I slip up and forget it, there is a huge impact on what I am working on and in my life in general. So the lesson is focus. Focus is everything in a season of all the things. So this is what I mean. Right now, everyone I speak to, from my friends, my family, people at work, people that are my clients, there is one common theme, which is that it is a season of all of the things. We feel torn and so busy, more busy than ever right now, trying to juggle all the things. And for me, what that looks like is juggling the book, the podcast, my family, motherhood, business, clients, travel, my health. And it is so challenging. I feel like we're busier now more than ever. And there's literally no one that I speak to that is just like, oh yeah, I have all the time in the world. There's no competing priorities. I totally, am on track with all of my goals. And this focus element is something that we've talked about on the podcast previously. I did a whole episode on the way that I like to focus and set goals. And recently I have sort of lost track of that for a short time, and it re-taught me the lesson again. Focus is everything, especially in a season of all the things. So here's what I mean. You cannot scale everything simultaneously. You cannot focus on everything. Recently, for my birthday, had set a goal that the next edit of the manuscript, the one that I would send to my publisher, would be done by my birthday. So this was sort of an arbitrary date, but I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like it's going to be a push date. It's going to require me to work on it all the time, but that will be my greatest focus. Now, when I set that goal, I knew the impact, but at the same time, I had other priorities. I was doing an event where I had like 1,700 people show up. We were traveling. There was a lot going on from all elements of my life. And you know what a birthday week is like? Like everyone wants to see you, your family wants to celebrate with you. There's just more going on in general. And I was still trying to do all of the things. I said yes to different commitments. I said yes to the travel. I was doing the event and I had a lot more clients come into my world and I was servicing them while having this big priority of the book due at the exact same time. And there's this huge temptation to hold everything at once, to try to do it all. But every time I try to do that, I learn that it's just not possible. So the closer the deadline came, and I was like, okay, I'm now 5 days out, 4 days out, 3 days out, I started realizing like it was just no longer going to be possible to try to do every single thing. And that is just a recipe for feeling like you didn't do anything, you didn't accomplish your goals, and just being exhausted and not feeling well. So that's not the energy that I wanted to have for that week, especially. And I've shared on this podcast before, I've had the intention all along when I decided to write this book was that it was going to be fun. Like I was going to keep it fun. I was going to keep it inspired by going to new places, by doing new things, by enjoying the whole process because I feel so blessed to be able to do this. And I feel like it is the manifestation of the biggest project that I've ever had to date, which sums up like everything that I've worked towards to this point. And I told myself I would keep it fun. But the reality is, what ended up happening was I ended up feeling so stressed. And I had realized about a week before the deadline, I'm someone who always makes deadlines, by the way. It's like come hell or high water, it's like it's going to be done. There is no question. So I didn't really question that it would be done, but I was having trouble letting go of it. I wanted to keep writing it. I wanted to keep adding things and rereading things. And each time I would reread, I would add, and then I have to rejig the whole word count because, there's certain limits to how much you can talk about certain chapters and how much each chapter can hold. And I just kept going back and reiterating. And what I also realized, I was trying to focus on too many things, and that was setting me back. It wasn't doing me any favors. So when we have these seasons, it really does require us to narrow, not quit, but to narrow. So you can't focus on everything at the same time. And when I try to focus on too many things, something has to give. Right. And when I can fully focus on that one most important thing for the day, for the week, for the month, that is when I see the biggest results. That ruthless prioritization is the one thing that actually moves the needle. So if you are someone who's trying to juggle, maybe you're juggling your current job right now with job search and trying to find a new role and going on interviews, and then you're trying to network and keep up with people, or maybe getting a new certification and finishing school, trying to upskill and do your job and take on a new project. I would ask you, what would be the number one biggest focus that would move the needle the most? And I would focus on that one thing, whether it's for that whole day, for that whole week, for that whole month. And that is the number one priority. When I was finishing, and I did end up meeting the deadline by my birthday, which feels amazing. It was like so freeing. It felt so good to just let go of it, send it to the editor, and then he would send it back in 5 weeks later. And then we'd go into another edit and another edit. So there's a lot more time that I'll be working on it, but it just felt so freeing to actually submit that and to meet that goal. But what it actually required was I let go of everything else. Like I'm someone who always is consistent with my workouts, with all these things. And I literally stopped working out. That's not what I recommend, but like it was what was required to meet that deadline. I said no to a lot of commitments and I literally focused. I was writing like 10 hours per day anywhere I could, from the airport to on the plane to in the hotel room. Like, I didn't see the cities that we were in. We were for my birthday in Chicago and Salt Lake City. We would explore a little bit, but nothing like, what would be considered like a vacation. It was truly like locking myself in the hotel room and writing, and everything else had to fall away. And I had to lean on other supports to be able to get all of those things done. And that is what is required often to meet our biggest goals. So I would say focus would be something that I already learned last year. And is something that I keep relearning, because as soon as I let go of it, it bites me in the ass. So hopefully that saves you some agony like it I had to relearn as well. Okay, lesson number 2. There is always another mountain. Every summit has another climb. So when you reach a mountain, so I was recently in Salt Lake and I thought of this because there are mountains everywhere. And we often look at our career like a climb, right? Like, when I get to the top of that mountain, I'm going to finally feel satisfied. Once I achieve that, once I get that promotion, once this project ends, so on and so forth, I will then feel this way. I will finally feel like I arrived. But what I keep learning over and over again is there is a different mountain when you arrive there. And I've learned this so many times throughout my career. For example, I always thought that when I land my director role, I would finally die happy. Like, that was the goal that I set literally from the time that I started in HR. And I thought that that would be the role that would finally get me to that top of the summit and nothing would matter anymore. And I naively thought that. And the more I think about this, the more I realize is that there is always a new climb. There is always another summit. And this is what we do as high achievers. So we always, right away, as soon as we accomplish a huge goal, we always set a new one. And that is not very satisfying, because then you've worked so hard to get to this one goal, to achieve this one thing, only to feel like, is this really it when it happens? And most recently, if we tie it back to the book, and for me recently, I was like, once I submit this manuscript, I can finally focus on all of the other things that I let slide. But guess what? So I'm in a group chat with this group of other CEOs. I'm in a couple of communities, but one of them is this book club. You might have seen me post about it on social media. It's amazing. But one of my friends in the book club, she likes to spark conversation in the group chat. And she was just like, what are we grateful for this week? What are we calling in next week? And literally it was like the day after I submitted the manuscript. And I was like, what am I grateful for? And I had like almost forgotten that I had done that it was something that I worked so hard for months, like almost 8 months straight. And the moment it happened, I'm already in the next thing, the next event I'm hosting. And even while the editor is looking and going to be providing feedback, there's like a million other things that I need to do with the book. They asked me to do the front cover, the back cover, to send different images of books that I love the covers of, that I don't love, like to do all of this research. And there's always the next mountain. So what if we knew that and accepted it, and also were able to actually sit in the gratitude for the things that we have accomplished, whether they are big or small? Because that is the feeling we're all seeking to feel like we have finally arrived. But the problem is that we normalize these milestones that we set for ourselves, and then we adapt to them way faster than we expect. So you get promoted, you're excited, and then it becomes baseline. You have extra money, let's say, from your promotion, and it seems like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And you're excited for like 48 hours, and then it becomes normal with the second paycheck. You sign the book deal, you're so excited, and then it's the stress of, okay, I need to actually make this deadline, right? So how do we actually sit? This was one of the lessons for myself in knowing that there is always the next mountain. But how do we sit in the feeling of gratitude for what we have just accomplished before jumping to the next thing? And there's power in that. It's not dissatisfaction, because it is honoring how far we have come. and that always will bring more blessings. So it's not a problem of wanting more, because of course we will always have bigger goals. And I think that's beautiful. I will always have bigger goals no matter what. But the problem is, as soon as you start climbing the next mountain without really even sitting in the gratitude for what you've already accomplished, that is just a recipe of not enjoying the journey along the way. And our life is truly in the journey. Like, that's why I set the intention in the first place of enjoying the writing process, because I knew I would forever look back at this time in my life. And it is just a stage that I'll never get back again. Like, I will never relive this opportunity that I'm in now, which is writing the first book. You can't go back to that, or landing that first job, or getting that first promotion, or landing that dream role. Whatever it is beautiful to chase the next goal, but I would challenge you to sit in gratitude for where you are and the journey along the way. Because what I keep learning over and over again, even though I know this logically, is that there is always another mountain to climb. There is always the next challenge. There's always the new summit. There's always the new climb. And how do we just sit and enjoy it? All right. Lesson 3. I am in a big reflective time right now. As I've just written a book. I've looked back on my whole life and the biggest lessons from it. And reflection is such a powerful tool that when we get busy, I feel like we often forget to use. And the more I look back, the clearer my next move becomes. So the more I look back, the clearer my next move becomes. And if you're following me on Instagram or on my socials, they're linked in the show notes. But lately, you may have noticed I am sharing so many reflective points from lessons I've learned as a child, and how far I've come, and how my younger self would see the things that I'm up to now and be so proud. And because I am in this very reflective era. But I also think this is also something that happens to be trending on socials right now. And I think a lot of it is because social media can take away our feeling of feeling like we are enough, because we always see someone else doing more. But the way we can feel like we are enough, our life is unfolding perfectly the way that it's supposed to, is looking back to see how far we have come. Because your life today is literally a manifestation of what you once dreamed about. And that is beautiful. So looking back to, how far you have come in the last 5 years, and the last year, and the last 6 months, it is a beautiful reminder to step back and really reflect on that. Because the more I pause and I look back, the clearer I get about where I want to go in my future, and the more grateful I feel in the moment. And that reflection, it creates this pattern of recognition. So you continue to recognize how far you've come, which makes you feel more grateful, which makes you feel aligned, and moves you forward in the right direction. Most people don't pause long enough to reflect on truly how far they've come. So if you're feeling stuck, or if you're feeling like you're maybe not doing enough, or you're not meeting your goals, we are in May now, and maybe you're looking back and you're like, well, we're almost at mid-year. Like, I didn't really do the things that I set out to do in January. And what I want you to do is, instead of feeling that stuckness, I want you to know you don't need more effort. You're probably doing all of the things, but you do need more time to reflect. And going back to the focus point, you probably also need some more focus to really zero in on those things that are most important to you, to be executing them in the way that you dream of. So I would ask you, what can you reflect on today to see how far you've come? And that's going to bring so many blessings into your life. I recently did this post when I was at Salt Lake and traveling there. I just took like a quick video of being on the plane, and it resonated with so many people. I think it got shared more than like all of the other posts leading up to that point. And all I wrote was, I may not have everything that I've ever wanted, but I have everything I wanted 5 years ago. And it was just this perspective shift of, yes, I have big goals for this year and it's not even done yet. And that's beautiful. But also, all of the things that I dreamed of or my past self has dreamed of are here now. And there's a beauty in reflecting on that and understanding it and accepting it. Okay, lesson number 4, not everyone deserves your energy. And not everything deserves your energy as well. Okay, so this year was like super clarifying on that. I know that we can always feel the pressure to say yes to all the things. I definitely do. But I want you to remember that time is our most valuable asset. Access to our time is a huge privilege, and so is the proximity to us. And the older I get, and with each and every year, I realize that where I place my attention determines the quality of my life. And when boundaries are not set, then that is often why there is that leaky energy where we feel like, we may not be moving in the direction that we wanted to be because often we're prioritizing other people's goals. So it's like this age old reminder that you guys know, if you've been listening to this podcast, I know that our time is limited being a cancer survivor. My life flashed before my eyes. And with that, it is a lesson I need to keep coming back to each and every year to be like, time is not unlimited. Time is finite. And where you place your attention, that shapes your life. So, there are so many people, more people now that reach out for different opportunities, want to do different things, want to collaborate in different ways, want to connect, want to have a coffee chat. And the truth is that boundaries, they're not rejecting or saying no to that person specifically. They are actually saying yes to what we need to do, which is our number one priority, which is that place where we said we would place our focus intentionally. And when we don't set those boundaries, what we end up doing is saying yes to all the things except us, right? We say yes to the other people's priorities, and that can often lead to that leaky energy or us feeling like we don't have enough time to accomplish what we want, or we don't have enough time to live the life we want to live. And really, it's just a reminder that not everyone and not everything deserves your energy. Your energy should be completely looked at as a privilege. It is your most finite resource. If we think about like I know now that our time is our most valuable asset, but let's just pretend that you thought money was the most valuable asset, just to make this real. So pretend that your neighbor, someone walking down the street, your coworkers, your boss, your family, just a whole bunch of people start coming to you. And let's just say you won the lottery and now you have this abundance of money and everyone is asking you for a piece of it. If you give it all away and you say yes, yes, yes to all of the people and all of the opportunities and, everyone's saying you should invest in this and this and this and this, what you end up doing is giving away, first of all of your money. So then you're broke again, even though you thought it was your most precious asset. But also you're not using discernment based on who you do want to help or where your money is best spent. Which charities do you want to give back to? Which family members do you want to help, if any? Which causes do you believe in? And what do you want to do strategically to change your legacy with that? And instead, you end up giving it all away. This is totally random, but while I was in Salt Lake, I was watching all of these. I didn't have Netflix because I couldn't log into my account with their TV. So when I would get super exhausted from writing, when it would be like nighttime and my husband was working and I was waiting for him to come back, he was at a conference there. I was watching this documentary about lottery winners and how they always go broke and how they sometimes even refer to it as their worst time in their lives because this is what happens. Everyone, it's like the vultures come out. Everyone starts asking for this, and we're not used to it. And they end up giving it all away unintentionally because they didn't make the decisions with discernment. And I feel like our energy, I don't believe money is our most valuable resource because it can always come back. You can always make more of it. It's something that is, it can't be compared to the value of time, but we often don't look at it that way. And we trade our time for money. And we don't set enough boundaries. So when I think about it that way, I'm like, no, if I won the lottery and people started asking me for money, I would just say no. But am I doing that with my time and my energy, which is actually the most valuable asset? No, I'm saying yes to a lot of things I should be saying no to focus on the most high priority things that are most important to me. And maybe it's like spending time with my family, spending time with my son as much as possible, doing those high quality kind of activities instead of saying yes to all of the things just because we feel like we should or we don't want to hurt the other people's feelings. So that is my other lesson as I'm getting more and more opportunities come my way. It's using discernment to be like, I cannot say yes to this when like I would love to, but my biggest priority is finishing the book, for example. Like in another season, if I had more time, maybe that would be something I can consider, but right now it is not, right? So those extra conversations, those coffee chats, those connections, like they are not the most important thing right now when there is a deadline or when I have a different focus in this season. So whatever your focus is, really thinking about time being your most valuable asset and not everyone deserves your energy and rethinking about what that looks like for you. I feel like all of these kind of touch on a bigger theme and all bleed into one another. But the lesson number 5 that I took away from this year was health. Health. This is something that I learned obviously when I was diagnosed with cancer, but health is the foundation of everything in our lives. It's the foundation of everything. And it doesn't matter what you have if you don't have your health. So your ambition, your next promotion, the next job, it doesn't matter if you don't have the health that can carry it all, right? So that promotion, that next, title, it doesn't mean very much if you can't be there to enjoy it. So that is even more the reason why we need to protect our energy like it's the most valuable asset that we have, because it is. So as I was finishing this and meeting the book deadline, I literally spent the whole week horizontal. Like I was telling you, like there was one day I went out and took a walk or whatever, but it was so short, maybe. And then one day I walked with my husband in Salt Lake, but I literally laid horizontal. I am someone who's typically active. I'm doing all the things. I'm standing, I'm working out, I'm going to the gym. I literally did none of that. There was a gym in a hotel, of course, that I could have gone down to. There were lots of classes I could have taken. I didn't do any of that. And I was not prioritizing my health. If I had done that for longer than a week, like I'm sure there would have been an impact. Like coming back to the gym, I remember feeling so tight, so sore, like I needed to stretch. And even stretching was like, something that felt so foreign. I was literally just lying down on the couch or the bed really comfortably and just typing for a week straight. And that goes against one of the lessons that I've learned previously, which is health is the foundation of everything. So knowing, even in a busy season, creating space for what truly matters, for eating healthy, like instead of stress eating all of the things because, not feeling well or, there's a deadline, there's extra pressures and not making time to walk in nature and enjoy the moment. Health is always the foundation of everything. And my dad now, he's 65. And so that's not old. Like he's fairly young. I would like to think he's fairly young, but his health is in such a bad condition. He truly cannot enjoy much anymore. So everything, when I look at him, it just reminds me of like, if you're not healthy enough to walk, to enjoy, to travel, to drive, life becomes not very enjoyable. So at the end of the day, we're working ourselves. Sometimes, we're so stressed, we're burning ourselves out, we're working ourselves down to the bone, and we forget how important our health is. It's the number one priority above anything else. Because if you don't have health, you can't enjoy your family. If you don't have health, you can't enjoy your career. There's really nothing at the end of the day that is more important than that. But somehow with a deadline or somehow with, a busy season, it's the first thing to go out of the window. So that was another great reminder of a lesson that I had learned, but I really needed to relearn. And, here we are. So productivity means nothing without your health, right? Your compromised health this year, is not worth anything. It's not worth any deadlines. And the stress that we sometimes put on ourselves as high achievers as well goes completely against the type of life that we want to live. So that would be number 3. Health is the foundation of everything. Did I say 3? That would be number 5. Okay. Lesson number 6. So I am still trying to figure this one out, but one of my goals for 2026 was on the relationship side. I know that relationships are extremely important for all aspects of my life, but especially this season that I'm going into right now with growing, for getting ready to launch the book. And I'm still trying to figure out how this plays into actually figuring out how to prioritize the relationships that are important to me. Because again, what I was mentioning was just having more people in my inner circle that I'm used to than before, being in more communities and having more requests for my time. And while I'm really valuing my relationships, and I know they're super important, especially this year and beyond, truthfully, this is a lesson that I know I need to still learn. But the lesson is that opportunities don't come from just doing everything on your own, right? So when we think about your career, there often is a point where you realize to get promoted or to get the next opportunity will come from relationships. And there were times in my career where I was also just like this, like heads down and not prioritizing spending time with the right people that would benefit my career in the long term. So again, a lesson I'm still working through, but something that I keep relearning is that the right relationships are definitely worth the time investment, and making time for that in a strategic way that makes sense, that is beneficial for both sides. So that is something that I'm navigating. I'm trying to incorporate into that Google Calendar and make sure that it is something that I am proactively focusing on, even when I get busy, without giving everyone saying yes to everything and giving all of my time away in a way that it is not beneficial to either of us. Okay, so relationships and growing relationships being a priority is lesson number 6. I sometimes, end up putting my head down and just working on the thing and getting that thing done. And I know that is not going to be the thing that is most beneficial to me when I look back on this year. I want to know that I nourished the important relationships in my life and that I invested the appropriate amount of time. And that is what at the end of my life that I will remember. It's the people, it's the relationships, the time spent with family, right? The friendships that were deepened over so many years. One of the friendships that I value the most is with my friend Alnaz. And if last year you were at Career Cravings Live, which is the conference that I held, she was actually she was the MC for the event, and she's in communications and she's a communications executive. And so it was a perfect fit. But I value that relationship with Alnaz so much because we have been friends now for over 30 years. Let me think about that. We met when we were 6, so we're literally 32 years now. And it does take time. She lives in Paris now. I'm in Toronto, and it takes time to nurture that relationship. But when I think about it, it's like one of the things that is most precious to me. And my relationship with my family, there's certain business relationships that are very, very important to me as well. And in busy seasons, we can often put our heads down and not focus on nurturing them. So I'm going back to this lesson of growing the strategic relationships in the right way is a key top priority for me. So I would get you to also think about which are the relationships that you want to continue to nurture this. And when you look back on 2026, what are the key relationships that you are going to feel proud of that you invested in when you look back? Is it more time with your kids, with your spouse, with your partner, with your friends, with your boss? I doubt that it's that one, but maybe, right? So what are the key relationships? Maybe it's your past coworker who went to another company and you'd love to join them one day. So thinking about which key relationships like a set of 5 that you would be very proud of yourself for growing in the next 7 months of this year. All right. And we're getting to lesson number 7, which is all about legacy. So this is about zooming out. And I've thought about legacy a lot lately as I'm in this reflective moment. And for years, I always thought legacy was something that you produced at work. And I always thought my legacy would be like, the title and the impact and all of those things. And now I realize it's actually who I become in the process of that. So becoming is actually the legacy. So let's unpack that. So your legacy will be the thing that people remember you by, that you act on in those quiet moments. So it's not a specific thing that you accomplish. It's how you choose to spend that time while you are reaching your potential. So legacy is how we'll be remembered, right? And it's often looking back and thinking about, like, what will we be remembered for? We often think it is those like big, important milestones, right? And often what we're actually remembered for are the small things, the moments you spend with your family, and the moments where you're actually working towards who you are becoming and becoming someone who is reaching their full potential. So this isn't, let's say, a specific book that you'll be remembered for like 100 years later, but it's who you were while writing it, who you become in the process. And I'll give you kind of an abstract random example. But earlier in my career, I worked in financial technology. This was the first company I ever worked for. I was there for about 5 years. And we had this executive. She was a woman and she had the biggest reputation at work. And she had this reputation of being amazing at what she did. And also the reputation of spending all of her time at work, to the point where, like, I wasn't really sure if she had a family because she was always in the office before everyone, last to leave, always in all of the places and all of the meetings and all of the events, doing all of the things. And sadly, one day out of nowhere, she was fairly young, probably in her 50s, she had a brain aneurysm and she passed away. And I remember the one thing that was remembered about her at the funeral was actually all of the little things she did for her family outside of work that we weren't even sure she was doing anything outside of work. But it was how she was such a devoted mom and she she was the best sister. And that scenario really makes me think back, like, at the end of our lives, what do we want to be remembered by? That's our legacy. That's how we will be remembered. And I think it's 2 things. It's how we'll be remembered in those small moments between our, where we are now and who we're becoming. But it's also how you lived in the moments of trying to reach your full potential. So did you, evolve year after year and become the person that you are meant to be? And in that process, how did you do it? How did you spend your time? Was it feeling rushed and stressed and feeling like you're pulled 100 directions and, yelling at the kids and like get out the door and rushing, not having time for the important things? So as I think back on legacy, I used to think like, oh, it's like the thing you produce, that one thing, like say you get an incredible patent, you're someone who, I don't know, creates a huge impact on the world. And now I'm really realizing you'll be remembered for the person you are between the milestones. As let's say you have children, as they're watching you, that is what's going to be remembered as your biggest legacy. So how you lived while trying to reach your full potential. And I think that is beautiful. So legacy is not the thing you produce, but it's the person that you become in the process when you zoom out. Right? So it's not that thing that you might be working on that you believe you're going to be remembered for, but it's who you become in the process. And becoming is the legacy. So lesson 1, as a quick recap, focus is everything in a season where, we're doing all the things. Lesson 2, there is always another mountain. Lesson 3, the power of reflection. 4, not everyone deserves your energy. 5, health is the foundation of literally every single thing. 6, prioritizing growing relationships and deepening the relationships that matter. And 7, becoming is the actual legacy. So please let me know in the comments what this sparked for you. I always love hearing if, you're implementing the things that we talk about here. It means the world to me. So send me a note, send me an Instagram DM on LinkedIn, or leave a comment here in the show notes. And I will see you in next week's episode. Hey, before you go, if you've enjoyed listening to today's show, I would love your support. Please take a moment to leave a review anywhere where you listen to podcasts. And here's the exciting part. I'm running a special contest and giving away a one-on-one session with yours truly. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and send it to me in my DMs. All of my contact info is in the show notes. I appreciate you so much, and I cannot wait to build the career and life that you've been craving together. See you next week.